Hello, everybody. We are back from a quick little break. I just want to let y'all know about a few of the things that we have opened up in this time before we get into our next run of Okami. So first, we have a new incentive. It's the best incentive, in my opinion. We have the ability to pet the dog. Petting the dog in the next run, we must pet the dog. So for every $5 we receive, we will have Amaterasu get pet by any NPC that are along the run's path. Y'all, please get those pets in. And those pets go towards our milestone, which is currently a Hi-Fi Rush milestone. It's a bonus BPM rush run at the end of our Hi-Fi Rush run, and that will be in a few hours. We are looking to get to about $800 on that, and I think we can potentially do that with a few pets on our next run. Now, we can get into that run. We have Okami, any percent, from legoerofeggos, which is a most fantastic name. legoerofeggos, why don't we get away with this wonderful pupper?
All right, yeah, so as Ophelia just said, I'm legoerofeggos. This is Okami. I don't really know what else to introduce. I guess my co-commentator here is Krino.
Yeah, hello, I'm Krino.
And yeah, I think we're just gonna get started here. So, gonna count down 3, 2, 1, go. So,
Okay,
start. Oh, you got this.
Yeah, I got this. Right off the bat, there's a lot of things we need to get through. First of all, one of the great advantages of these versions of the game, which we call the 2017 releases, even if the Switch one came 1 year later, is that we have cutscene skips in New Game, which we didn't have in earlier releases. Now, the first thing you're going to notice about the movement in this game is that Lego is going to be jumping into cutscenes and out of cutscenes. This is because of the way the dash mechanic works. You'll see a trail of plants behind Ami. Right now, there are either just green grass and flowers. It will become green grass and gold grass eventually, so we call it green and gold dash. Essentially, by jumping into cutscenes, we can store this dash value that we have, and by jumping out of cutscenes, we can restore whatever dash value we had before the cutscene. Furthermore, that there's some things to do with upward and downward slopes. Intuition applies. Essentially, when we're going up a slope, we run slower, and when we're going down a slope, we run faster. And something we can do is that we can jump to store our horizontal speed through slopes. So very often, after going down a slope, Lego is going to be just bunny hopping to keep this downward speed from the slope. This can also happen when going up a slope to keep the either the neutral slope, just flat ground speed. But this won't happen so much because of a new development, which we call CR skip. So by holding the right bumper, we can actually lock Ami's speed to top flat ground speed. Why this happens, we do not know. But it is very helpful to go up slopes faster without having to bunny hop. Because before this was discovered, something we had to do is that we will just store flat ground speed going into upward slopes to just bunny hop, as Lego is doing right now. She's doing it right now because she has downward slope speed, which she can go faster than just top flat ground speed. Also, something else to bring up is the Celestial Brush, which Lego just is doing twice for our pleasure.
Of course.
So, the Celestial Brush is one of the main mechanics of Okami. Throughout the game, you are tasked with collecting all 13 brush powers from all of the brush gods, or whatever we call them. We're not going to collect all of them, because this is 70%, obviously. But straight off the bat, at the very early game, we collect Rejuvenation, which I don't think we ever use, other than at the very beginning. Like, we don't use after this point. And Power Slash, which is going to be really useful. Where else do we use it?
Oni Island, way later.
Right, okay.
So, yes, exactly one more time. Hopefully. If I mess up a trick later, there's a trick that I will only have one shot to get, and if I fail that, we will have to use it a second time. So hopefully I don't mess that up. But yeah. I feel like there was something else I was going to bring up. The other power we just got is Power Slash, and that one you will see a lot more. We'll be using it all over the place. It's useful for just traversing. There's stuff we want to Power Slash that's in our way, and it's also going to be used a lot in fights for defeating our enemies. And we're even going to use it right now to chop down this off-screen fruit, and that allows us to restore Kamiki Village, or at least partially restore Kamiki Village. By the way, I'm not quite there yet, but is there anything, have there been any pets yet that I need to keep in mind?
No, sadly. We have a very, very sad pupper, and we need to in chat. Need to see the pupper pet.
This is one of the best times, because this is a village of people right here, so if there were a bunch of pets, I could in fact get pet a whole bunch. But anyway, so right now we are finishing restoring this village. Right now all the villagers are statues. We had to check them out just to, see that they are in fact statues. And then we go up here where Amaterasu is able to... Oh, did I not talk to someone? I didn't.
You did.
I forgot to talk to this guy. Oopsie. All right. We are now going to fully restore the village. Maybe, if I can do this trick again.
Yeah, this is a safety strat. The optimal route does not restore Kamiki Village at all, and does not get sunrise. This is relevant because there is a specific bridge that we cannot restore without sunrise, and depending on how the run goes, we may need to restore that bridge.
Yep, it's a very silly, weird thing.
Yes. But yeah, now Legos, you're gonna do turnips, I assume?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you for reminding me.
Lego's gonna do... Yeah. This is the optimal time to do this turnip digging minigame. We need to do it by a certain point. It's just on the way right now, so it's just nice to do it here. But other than that, we're not gonna be in Kamiki for anything else. We're just gonna go ahead and run out after doing the turnip digging game. Hopefully second try. Fingers crossed.
Hopefully I'm able to correctly power slash. This is Mushi's mom right here. That's just her name. She doesn't really have a name. Mushi is over there, and we're getting his dog, the oddly shaped turnip, which always happens to be the 10th turnip that we dig up.
You really too Mushi.
Yep.
You can tell it's been a while.
It has been a little bit. All right, and now, in order to leave, we are supposed to go out this boulder. But are there any pets?
Sadly, no.
Sadly, no. All right. Well, there's still lots of chances for pets.
I lied. I have lied.
You lied?
I lied. There is a pet from Holly
pet.
who says, "Oh no, a sad pupper."
All right, we'll get one pet in here.
Deserves all the pets. Let's get a pet in. Oh, thank goodness.
We're all good. We're all good. We got pet. I've actually run a category before that is, in fact, all about getting pet by every NPC in the game that will pet you. So,
best category in the entire Okami speedrunning.
Okay, so something really funny just happened on the screen.
A little bit.
You may have noticed that Lego just sort of jumped in midair after doing a wall jump. That is something we call a D-boost. In this specific case, it's a dialogue boost. You may have noticed that we call it a D-boost and there was no damage taking. It is not a damage boost. However, we do have damage boosts, and they are also D-boosts. So just to explain real quick, a D-boost is a specific type of glitch when some animations happen mid-air. We have a 1-frame window after the animation ends or is interrupted, where we can do a grounded tackle in midair and then jump out of it. The original version of this glitch that we found was through the damage animation in midair, which is why it was named the D-Boost. And then the community just sort of committed to the bid and has continued to forcefully name every single version of this glitch with a word that starts with D. For example, we have dialogue boosts, we have damage boosts, we have also in this run demon boosts, we have defrost boost, and not in this run we have dodge boost and dive boost. If you have D words for things that might be in this game, please join the Discord and tell us. They might be helpful in the future if we find more applications of this glitch. Now, this is Hannah Valley. It is cursed for now. We are coming here to obtain the Bloom Brush power, which will be relevant for the reason that we need it to progress the game, and it makes the flower paths behind Okami prettier. Now, we are doing the first... Well, no, actually, we did a fighting Kamiki. I forget we do that because it's different with the safety strat. But one thing that is very important in New Game, because it's not New Game Plus, we don't have infinite resources from having done a playthrough, is that we need to have very specific strategies when going into fights in order to do them fast and also not take damage. This is important because this game rewards you for doing fights fast and not taking damage. The doing them fast part is more slow because it's a speedrun and we want to do everything as fast as possible. The not taking damage is also not super hard, but it is relevant in some fights. And the way the game rewards you is that it gives you up to double yen, money, depending on your performance. And this matters a lot. Money is very tight in the early parts of New Game. It's not as tight anymore, I don't think, but it's still something that we have to watch out for. And if something goes wrong in some fight and we lose money, we have to collect extra stuff or safety stuff. The specific threshold that we're watching out for is that we need to buy double jump, and double jump costs 20,000 yen. There are other things we need to buy on the way to double jump, so there are different thresholds at different points that we need to meet, but once we get past double jump, we are pretty much good in terms of money for the rest of the run. Now, this is the ball. The ball is evil, and hopefully LEGO will do good at it, but this ball has the weirdest collision and physics in the game. And balls in general are bad and notorious for that, but that was a beautiful ball push. That is really hard to do.
That was a very good ball. Sometimes it just doesn't work. Sometimes you just are able to run practically straight through the ball for no reason. Sometimes it just gets a weird boost of speed and shoots off to the side for no reason. It's a good time. It's a good time. But right here, by completing this constellation, we are able to get the Bloom Brush power, which lets us bloom this Guardian Sapling, which in turn restores Hannah Valley. So it was kind of brown and a little bit dead, but now it is alive and well.
Yeah. Now, this is our first notable fight skip of the game. On the way back, you're supposed to do this fight again, but you can just wall jump around the trigger, courtesy of Giant Cookie Jar. And it's just a really nice trick. It's fun to do. It has some nice visual cues and everything. Some people, it's hard to do starting out, but it's not really hard to master. And now, we've actually skipped a couple fights like this, so this campfire fight we're supposed to do again, we can just run around it and not do it. The trigger is small enough. We actually skipped 2 fights like that during the tutorial.
Yep, we just ran around 2 fights, but we had too much other stuff to talk about.
Yeah, and it's so unremarkable that it's hard to call it out, because you just walk around them. There are some specific lines that you take, and some visual cues that we have for where to turn. And yeah, now that we have Bloom, we can restore Shinshu Field and progress through the game. There are a couple things we have to do here. The most important things is that we want the Cherry Bomb brush power, which will be very important and useful to this run.
Mm-hmm.
The issue with getting Cherry Bomb is that Tama, the fireworks, I don't know, artisan, pyrotechnician. Yeah, he is a night owl, like myself. And he is not awake during the day. His house is just closed. So we need some way to make night, which we don't have. Thankfully, this guy here, Mika, has a quest that requires it to be night. And he has a tutorial which just forces it to be night for us, which is just really nice of him to do. This guy here is a bit beefier than any other red imp. But thankfully, he just goes down to a couple power slashes, and it's not a big deal.
Yep. And one thing you can see here is I actually ran out of ink. And when that happens, Amaterasu loses her powers. In this case, it's all planned. But potentially at some points, it could be bad if I ran out, because you actually can't even run at full speed when that happens. Or really fight.
Yeah, now that it's night, we can just swim across to Tama's house. He's gonna be awake, and we're gonna be able to help him make some fireworks and get Cherry Bomb. But first, there's the Deadfish fight. This fight used to be sort of infamous for just being bad, and then we realized it's not bad. And by we, I mean Lego. We realized you can just press R3 to center the camera, and the fish will always be in a nice spot for you to power slash. Fight threats are very often just little things like that, where just how to adjust your camera to better brush enemies and things like that. Just making things more streamlined, faster, easier.
Mm-hmm. Right here, we have just met Tama, and we helped him, solve his problem. He wanted to send off some fireworks, and now he's finally been able to. And our reward is to be blessed by the Cherry Bomb God, the pig in the sky. And now we can blow stuff up, which is pretty cool. Many of the powers we get in this game are nature-centered, and classically, bombs are a key feature of nature. Yeah.
Obviously.
According to Tears of the Kingdom, they grow on bushes, so
That's true. That's true. Tears of the Kingdom and Okami are secretly connected in the same world.
Very correct.
That would actually be awesome.
Very correct stuff.
All right.
Yes, these are both games that are very true to life and physics and stuff like that. Okay, so this is a newer trick. So this is very weird.
It is weird.
What Lego just did is something we call a first-person glitch. Essentially, when you go into first-person mode, Ami, and turn the camera, Ami's model physically turns around. This is something we can do by doing some specific things to go into first-person in midair and use that to reverse Ami's momentum from an air tackle bounce, so we can gain extra direction. Extra distance in the direction we prefer. This is something that is enabled by the trick Lego just did. This is a way to exit Agatha Forest at the same time as we bloom it. This skips a bunch of cutscenes and skips a very annoying thing where when you bloom Agatha Forest, you are stuck inside the sapling room. And this way we can avoid that happening. Notably, that was the first brush adventure of the run. Brush adventures are very interesting scenarios where we are able to unlock the camera in the brush, in the celestial brush, and move it away from Ami and even out of bounds. We will see another one here. And this is half blue skip. Lego is setting up this cabbage in a very specific way. What she's trying to do is that she'll set up the cabbage so that this torch will respawn and push it into the sleepy cutscene trigger. And she's trying to do a setup where on the same frame as the cabbage is pushed by the torch into the cutscene trigger, she will bloom a cursed patch all the way on the other side of Agatha Forest, and this will cause a cutscene overlap glitch. What that's for? Well, hopefully we'll get to see it work, because this is notoriously a trick that can just fail sometimes. This should be good.
Yep, it's good.
Yes, it's good. Okay, so now Lego needs to get these rabbits to get close to her so she can feed them. The reason why we need to do this is because we cannot actually move Amy at all with the cutscene overlap glitch. So we need to go into another cutscene in order to regain control of Amy. Conveniently, these bots here give us really nice treasures that will sell for money and use. And what is this cutscene overlap glitch even good for? Well, one of the greatest issues in this game is that we would love to not go into Tsuta Ruins right now and cross this river. However, this river is infamously hard to cross. We couldn't figure out a way to cross it. And with the cutscene overlap glitch, the cutscene that just washes you away and makes you void out by hitting the river just cannot play. So we were able to just swim across. We did find a way to jump across the river literally less than 4 days ago. And we would have loved to show that off today, but there was just not enough time to make that marathon safe and consistent. But it is a thing that is new, and if you look at runs of this game in the near future, you will probably see. This is now our first shopping trip. This is something that's going to happen many times across the run. Lego is just going to show up at a merchant at a convenient time. She's going to sell all the treasures she's picked up and every single item that we don't have a use for, and buy whatever we need for the future. Right now, what she needed was 4 meat feed bags for dogs that we're going to be feeding, and 3 steel fish sake. Now, I mentioned earlier that this game is very true to life in physics. Just like in real life, humans are very vulnerable to explosives. So through the use of cherry bombs, we are able to make very quick work of Waka. Another interesting thing about cherry bombs is that they are one of, if not the only brush power, which actually gets empowered by steel fish sake, which is a consumable that just flat out doubles your damage. This isn't the case for Power Slash, which is something that we would love to be true. However, cherry bombs are they just do so much better work on so many enemies.
One important thing about cherry bombs is that they basically nothing in the game is like immune to it, while many things are immune to Power Slash. And one other thing I would like to mention is there is one other power in the game that is buffed by Steel Fist Sake that doubles the power, and that is the power of trees. If you draw a tree on the ground under an enemy, it will do damage, and Steel Fist Sake will double that damage. But now we are able to bloom Taka Pass here and finally have another restored area to run around in.
Now,
I have a question for y'all.
Yeah.
When would we have the next opportunity to get some pets in? I don't have any pets as of yet, but I want to challenge chat to get some pets in before
If we can get some pets banked here, we're about to enter another village where there are plenty of people who would love to be pet in about
why
like
don't
5
we
to 10
get
minutes.
a $5 donation train going for that pet incentive? It leaves the station when we get into that new town. So y'all, we got quick time, it sounds like, but not very long. Let's get those donations in. Let's get this pupper pet.
Now, this is the mole. Yeah, they're so fun, and a lot of people think they're random, but they actually have, we actually have cues to be able to perfectly predict where they are going every time. It's a bit complicated to explain. There are some patterns that we can't really see what's happening, but we can mostly tell where they're going. And the reason why we're doing that minigame is to get the golden teacup, to bring it to the Tea Master, and this is a surprise, so that will help us later. Is all I can say for now.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, we are just going through a checklist of things we want to do here in Taka Pass. One thing, and this is very important, if we don't do the thing that Lego is doing right now, we will soft lock.
Yeah.
This
about to
devil will unlock.
We're going to go in an area that will not let us escape otherwise, unless we can fast travel out of there. And this is a method of fast travel. So we have to go out of our way for this real quick.
Yeah, here we see our first bot ogre of the run. They go down pretty easily to a couple of, well, yeah, a cherry bomb, a couple of attacks, and then some power slashes. Then another greening, and yeah, we get actually the second mermaid spring unlocked. We actually unlocked one in Agatha Forest, but it was like a very unremarkable, just while close to it for it to be unlocked.
Yep.
And yeah, we are now going into Sasa Sanctuary. If you know this game, you know you need to do a whole side quest where you free tune. You need to wait for it to be night is the problem, and that is very slow. Old routes of the game actually used up as much nighttime doing as many things as we could, well, as much daytime, and then just waited for a solid 2 minutes because you just run out of things to do before night ever comes. But then this trick came and ruined everyone's fun. This trick is infamously hard to be consistent at because of how precise it is. So let's hope Lego can get it within 5 tries. Would be very, very nice. But you know, we're in no particular rush. It's not like it's a speed run.
No. When I was practicing it earlier, I got it second try, which made me a little frustrated because I knew it would definitely not happen like that in the run. But that's just how it goes.
Yeah. But yeah, this trick relies on something called the seam grip, which is by landing precisely on the seam between 2 polygons, we can actually get a landing,
That's
and that gives us... Oh, that's rough. And that lets us just gain enough height to get out of bounds. Oh, that's really sad.
That's what we want to do, is land in there. But sadly, I just messed up the trick, actually. I managed to get the seam grip, but I jumped early before I had enough speed to get out of bounds with some nice momentum. But once we get through this area, we're going to be entering that village where there'll be plenty of people to pet us. So if you'd like some pets, now's a good time to get those in.
That's exactly what I was going to say. You were just making sure that we had extra time to get those pets in.
Exactly.
Exactly.
That is smart.
Mm-hmm. We're just stalling for time here. No worries.
Stalling for pets. This is
You're right. Time isn't even a factor.
Time isn't a factor at all.
It's not a speed run. Don't worry. Right now, it really does feel like a slow run. This trick really is like infamous for sometimes it just doesn't want to work. And it's one of those constant fears that it will happen during a marathon run. And it seems that fear is being realized right now. But hopefully we're able to get past soon enough.
Well, as you were saying, this is it skips quite a bit, so it sounds like it's very important to get this skip.
Yeah, I mean, unless it saves over 3 minutes, so I think I have to still fail a fair bit more times before I'm losing time to doing this trick.
And that's good. Okay.
Assuming I don't.
Now that we're out of bounds, we can just fall into Sasa Sanctuary. This is our first interior clip, and these tricks work on the principle that interiors are always loaded under the exterior maps. So by going out of bounds, we can just fall into any interior area. And here it just happens to be that we can fall inside and skip opening the gate by rescuing Chun. And immediately go into this digging minigame to get that water spout brush power. This minigame is one of those things that is very precisely routed out in terms of like what brush powers to use, where you use your ink, where you run out. Like everything is very intentional. And I think if it all works out, we should see a 228 at the top.
Hopefully a 231 is actually the optimal.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's barely 230.
Yeah.
It's barely 230. But that was a very good digging game. What's interesting there is, for weird mechanic reasons, having 5 ink there is slower than having 4 ink. It's very funny.
Yeah, just because of the way like ink refill works once you run out.
In any case, we now got the water spout power, which lets us move water around. This is sadly not actually very useful. We're basically just need it for a couple story reasons. Just a couple times in the game when it will check that we actually have this power. If we could avoid getting this power, it would be quite nice, but that's a very unrealistic thing to imagine for this run. And now that we got water spout, we're able to enter the back of Sasa Sanctuary, where there's a grove, the bamboo grove. And one thing that's very...
Yeah.
One thing that's very funny here is we're gonna talk to this crying bird dude, and this little thing's floating in front of us. This is the canine tracker, which is an item you get in Kusa Village, where we're going right after this. And for some reason, it just shows up here anyway, because normally to get in here, you have to have gone to Kusa Village, so it just assumes, like, yeah, of course, you've been there. And thus we're able to fight our first canine warrior. This is going to be the first of 4 different canine warrior fights, and all of them are going to look similar in execution, where we use cherry bombs, because, surprise, surprise, dogs are actually weak to alcohol-boosted explosives.
Just like in real life.
Mm-hmm. This is actually by far the most frustrating fight, because Take loves to jump around, and it is actually very hard to land cherry bombs against this jumping dog, because he basically just always wants to jump away from you. And due to various things about cherry bombs, they're actually very hard to place exactly where you want them to. And sometimes if you place them directly on top of an enemy, that's actually a bad thing, and the cherry bomb will roll away without actually exploding. So lots of weird things there.
One thing that is very funny about doing the Take fight is that even if we had a way of skipping the canine warrior quest, which we technically do, we don't do it out of being nice to ourselves. We would still need to do the Take fight, because if we don't do the Take fight, Mr. Bamboo here wouldn't give us a mermaid coin, which we need to escape, because we didn't open the door.
Yep. And I do want to say we are running up to Kusa Village right now, so this is definitely when you want to get your pets in, so that they can let me know how many times I need to get pet here.
We need to get some pets in, chat. Let's get the pupper pet. We do have 1 banked.
We have 1 pet banked. All right.
We have
all right.
1 pet banked. It came from a lovely donation from Emmy Elliott. And they say, my friends call me a Pomeranian, so that means Amy is technically my cousin, right? Either way, dogs deserve pets. I can confirm Emmy is a Pomeranian. And yes, Amy is your cousin. This is fantastic.
Emmy and Ami, two cousins. Right now, Kusa Village is actually cursed. Our brush doesn't work, so we actually can't get pet quite yet. But
people have more time.
That means people have more time. But up here is Fusei, who is being cursed by demons, so we just need to help her out with these demons, and everything will be all right. To do this fight, I'm actually going to use 2 exorcism slips to finish it off relatively quickly. Normally we just have 1, but I forgot to use 1 earlier in a fight, and so I happen to have 2 now, which is quite useful. Now we restore Kusa Village. Everything's pretty much okay now. And Kusa has a lot of stuff to tell us. But most importantly, what she has to do is give us some pets. I think. You can pet us, right? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, it's Pepper. Pet the puppers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're gonna go around Kusa Village and looking for the cannon warriors that are presently here. There are 4 of them currently in Kusa Village, so we technically need to feed all 4. However, since we have found Take already, the game sort of just has a counter for how many cannon warriors you've met. And since we've already met 1, in order to progress the quest, we actually only need to find 3 of them. And we very intentionally don't go to 1 of them, because there will be something really funny to happen after we progress the quest with that.
To be fair, 1 of them, it's not just that we intentionally don't go to it, we actually literally can't. We don't have a way to get to it because we skipped
That's true.
a power earlier that would have normally let us get to it. Right here, I'm going to do a quick brush adventure. This is Shin Warp. Whenever you restore curse patches like this, they actually warp Ami directly to them. So we're able just to come straight up to here from way far down.
Up there, are you able to get any pets?
There is someone I can get pet by right here. Do we have another pet?
I do have a $5 donation from Holly that says Ami is the best girl, and I think it's time for some pets.
All right, let's see here. Will you pet me?
Oh, that's Susano. Yeah.
Oh, it's nighttime. That's
it's night. Oh,
right.
Wow.
Everyone's in bed. Normally it's not nighttime here, but I spent a long time getting that Sasa early trick, getting out of bounds. So I'm gonna go up here and do a fight.
On that pet.
Yeah, I'm gonna go up here and do a fight, but we can do the pet afterwards now that I made it daytime.
Perfect. Just means that everybody can get more donations in for more pets.
Exactly. Stalling for pets. This year's Tay. Tay is he's kind of mad at his other canine guys for running away. But he's also the weakest of the dogs we fight. Unlike the rest of them, he only takes 2 cherry bombs. The others all take 3 to beat up. So a little weak, but that's all right. He's doing his best. He is doing his best. And he's actually still the second most frustrating fight because he loves to use invincible attacks that can sometimes just lose you lots of time. Here, I'm feeding that dog we didn't feed earlier. And now I'm just over here where we should have met it. So this is meat warp, since we fed that dog meat. So we just end up in an entirely different place and end up farther in Kusa Village. So it actually helps to leave faster here. And right now I can go and get that pet faster. That's true. Oh, I scared them. Oh, you'll be all right. You'll be all right. Do we have another pet or just 1? I'm gonna assume only 1 pet. No one gets free pets here. Right. And now we're gonna head out.
Now, here's when, because we've already done a bunch of sequence breaks, but here's the first very, very significant sequence break. What we're supposed to be doing right now is completing the dock quest, finding all Satomi Cannon Warriors to get all the power orbs, going to Gale Shrine, defeat Crimson Helm, so we can then go into Moon Cave, fight Orochi, finish the game if you didn't realize there was 2/3 more game. But instead of going and doing all that and fighting Orochi, we're gonna go here into City Checkpoint. And we're gonna perform a little thing that we love to call City Checkpoint Skip. You're not gonna believe what it does. So we're just gonna jump across, swim across, And there's a very conveniently placed large rock right next to the ledge at the other side of the bridge, which obviously is up. We cannot cross it until we do Moon Cave and have the Inferno brush power. But this conveniently placed rock allows us to do some very precise movement. Well, this part isn't precise. The precise part is at the top, where we can get what we call a sliding ground tackle that allows us to get a precise wall jump into an air tackle bounce up the ledge.
Like so.
Like so.
There we
And from this point on, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be saying this a lot. That's a lot harder than she made it look.
go. I did just
is
around at the end.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
just to show that all the stuff isn't real, and if you look from behind, none of it's real. Since you're not supposed to get over there in the way you were. But now we've actually skipped all the way to the second arc of the game. We're quite far ahead of where we should be at this point.
Yeah, and yeah, we're sort of going into the curse zone in order to skip a fight, and here we're gonna see another brush adventure and see the first mandatory use of Water Spout. By using Water Spout, like, we need to use Water Spout here to get the water up here so we can make this sapling grow and we can bloom it. Lego is currently in some weird walking while talking state because you're not supposed to get water into all the sprints there, but by taking the brush out of bounds, you can just Water Spout everything in one go.
Yep. And one other thing is I ran through the cursed area there for a bit. That was to skip another fight. You can just run around it in the cursed area. Once again, a lot of the fight triggers in this game are just, they're not actually that big. You can just go around them. I think there's only one fight trigger in the game, at least on this path, that we can't avoid in some way. Or at least it isn't, yeah, I think that's right. Pretty much everything else that's just like a fight trigger that's on the ground, we have to do that. Anyway, I just got out of bounds again. We're clipping into an interior building again. It's a good time. This time it is for the dojo. The dojo, like Krino mentioned all the way at the beginning of the run, we need money in order to buy double jump. And that's part of the reason why coming here early also saves time. Not only did we skip a bunch of the game, but we also are able to get double jump much earlier than you're supposed to. This actually doesn't give us too much extra skips earlier on that we'll be able to go back and do, but it does give us a whole bunch more options for the future, and will actually be very important for future skips. But yeah, this is the Dojo Sensei. He's a pretty good guy. And yeah, now we have double jump. 2 jumps. Better than 1.
Can people pet you in Seian as it's cursed? Just
the answer is almost no one in Seion can ever pet you for some reason, but there is one guy that will be able to be pet by, who I'm actually specifically going into Seion to talk to anyway. So if there are any pets on the table, then
How long do we have to get those pets in?
like 1 minute.
Mm-hmm.
So I better have
Jack, come on, please. Can we get some pets in for the pupper?
There is a trick we're going to do here, another interior clip to get out of bounds. In this case, because the building we're getting into doesn't actually exist right now. It's a part of like a cursed area, but the actual building still exists under the map. So we're just getting out of bounds to do that, to get into that building.
Yeah, so if you're playing the game casually, you're supposed to come here, actually help the people of Seian by clearing the plague and fighting Blight and saving the Emperor, and then this whole cursed area is cleared and you can go into this restaurant. But the interior is just loaded under the map, so just by going out of bounds, we can fall into it and not help anyone, because we're not trying to actually help. We're trying to go fast.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is the guy that can pet us. He's like one of 2 people in the entirety of Sion that will pet you. It's very strange. There are lots of people in Sion, to be clear, but they just won't pet you. You circle them, and nothing happens. It's a very weird thing with this game, where some people just will not pet you.
Yeah, there's also some people with very weird conditions to pet you. For example, Tama, who we visited to get Cherry Bomb, will only pet you in the specific circumstance after you get a fully upgraded Cherry Bomb brush power, which we will never do in any percent anyway, and show it to him, and then he'll only pet you in that exact moment. If you leave and come back, he will never pet you again.
It's extremely strange.
Yeah, so now coming up is Toaster. This is probably the coolest trick in the run. It's hard to explain why it's so cool on the go, but essentially, these mountains that Lego is going to be jumping over, while she is over them, she cannot jump. So she needs to maneuver perfectly so that she's... That was beautiful. I'm sorry, I was trying
Gorgeous.
to explain, and you just did it perfectly. Wow. Yeah, so the reason why that is way harder than it seems, again, just insanely hard, is that all of those mountains have what we call a jump barrier, where if you are over them, you cannot jump. So what you need to do is land and do a sliding ground tackle, so that by the very end of the time where you are able to jump out of a tackle, you are no longer over the mountain, and you need to do that 3 times in a row. And each of those sliding ground tackle jumps are precise. The feel of it is something that you get the hang of it by playing this game a lot, which obviously Lego has done. And yeah, she just nailed it. That was just perfect. And by doing that, we can skip ever meeting Queen Himiko, except for the one time, but calling that meeting her, well, we'll get to that. And yeah, we just go through here, and now we are going into what is the least active segment of the run. There won't be a lot of tricks, if any, in this part. What we're doing is we're gonna go and collect all of the dogs we haven't seen yet. These are just gonna be Ume and Hayabusa, I believe, in Agatha Forest and Kamiki Village. And we're also gonna do Suta Ruins to get Divine Brush Power, which we do need in order to finish the game.
Yeah, it's just faster to go over and do it now than it would have been to go do it earlier. Partially because we have double jump, and partially because by doing that skip earlier, we now don't have to actually beat the boss of Suda Ruins. We can just leave once we get the Divine Brush Power. Just skip.
And we also just have better resources, a better inventory for some fights, and that's mostly just a quality of life thing. It doesn't actually make the dungeon a whole lot faster, but there are just some fights where by having a better toolset, we're able to just streamline them a lot more and make them way less variable. Oh, and this is our first and last fishing minigame in the run. Now, you're originally supposed to do a fishing minigame in order to enter Suta Ruins, but by doing it right now, the game sort of overlaps the events of fishing to enter Suta Ruins, and at this point, fishing to fish for the Whopper, which is a fish that ate the moon, which is just... You know, as we've mentioned, this game is very true to life and, you know, science and physics and all of that. So obviously there's a fish who ate the moon. And this fish also ate Ume. our boy Kokari's dog. So we're just trying to get this fish so that we can get Ume back, and getting the moon back is, you know, it's just a happy coincidence. Now, something that happens by doing these things in this order with the event overlap is that is not the Whopper. That is the giant salmon. And this actually saves time by only having to power slash the salmon once instead of twice, which we will need to do for the Whopper.
Yeah, a whole lot of very convenient things happen with this whole thing. I do want to ask, Ophelia, do we have any more pets?
No, not at this point. I don't have any more pets,
right.
but I do want to remind everybody that if you are petting the pupper, which you should be, we should be getting some more donations in to pet the pupper. Those donations also go towards our milestone incentive for Hi-Fi Rush, the bonus BPM Rush run, which is about 10 extra minutes of Hi-Fi Rush, which is fantastic. That's an amazing game.
Okay, so that was Ume. Ume is the nicest of all the dogs. Unlike all of the other dogs, which have complicated movesets that they can go into different trees and like different things they can do and have RNG, Ume usually just lets you blow him up. He's just a really good boy, and we love him for it. Now, this is a paperclip. By using a tree, we can sort of just get pushed past the door into the Tsuta Ruins loading trigger. It looks really funny. Aimi just shakes into the trigger. And we're gonna see another use of, well, this isn't really the same kind of thing, but we're gonna use a tree again in order to clip into Blockhead. This is Blockhead skip or Blockhead clip, depending on who you ask. And yeah, by landing inside Blockhead, we can just tackle him from this side, destroy him, and skip around half of the dungeon.
Very convenient. Getting that first try was actually very nice. It kind of like the Sasa early trick earlier. Sometimes it just doesn't want to work, so getting it first try is very, very nice. And from here, we're just going to be jumping up some platforms. One thing that's pretty funny is up here, there's going to be a bridge that I'm going to restore. And we mentioned this sort of offhandedly earlier. To restore this bridge, you don't actually, it doesn't require the power of rejuvenation exactly. It requires you to have the power of sunrise. In a normal run, we actually skip getting sunrise. We skip restoring Kamiki Village, which means normally we can't restore that bridge, which does not make any sense, but it is what it is.
Yeah, that bridge is the entire reason we got sunrise, just for safety in case the cutscene overlap we did to skip the river in Agatha Forest failed for whatever reason. Then we would have had to do Tsuta Ruins at that point, and since we didn't have double jump, we wouldn't have been able to skip the bridge without sunrise. So that's why, like, everything is for a reason. It's weird. This game's just like that. Now, here's another brush adventure. This is an interesting one because we're doing this to break pots that we cannot see. These pots, the textures aren't loaded in, but they are there. They're supposed to spawn in after you defeat all of these demon gates or devil gates, but if you break them before, we actually get another funny cutscene overlap by having the cutscene where they spawn happen at the same time as the cutscene where they're broken. And that just skips an unskippable cutscene, which is really nice for us.
Yeah, that unskippable cutscene is like over 20 seconds long. So cool. One weird thing about this is how you skip the cutscene can give you different results for some reason there. There's like 4 different possibilities I know of that I've seen happen. So it's a very weird thing. And in here, this is the Vine Room. There's 3 curse matches lying around that we just need to go around and restore. And by doing that, we'll be able to talk to the Vine God and get the power of Vine.
And yeah, once we get it, as you might have noticed a pattern here, we're gonna get this and get out. That's usually just how the speedruns of Okami work. You get whatever you need, and then you help absolutely no one, and just go. You know, everything works out in the end. There are canon reasons for why we can justify ourselves in believing that they managed to work stuff out. But yeah, no, we're not gonna fight Spider Queen. We skip pretty much every single boss in this run. There's only, I believe, 2 of them that we fight before the final boss rush. And yeah.
Ignore the fact that I chose the wrong option there. Since I chose to stay in Suda instead of leave. But yeah, now we've finished Suda. Suda's a pretty cool place, a lot of cool skips. There's not really going to be any skips now for the next like 10 minutes of gameplay. We're just going to be going around, finishing up the dog quest, and then entering Gale Shrine, which is why we're doing this whole dog quest, is so that we can enter another dungeon.
Well, luckily, when you have a moment, it looks like we can get a double pet in, because I have
Double
a $10 donation from Momo that says all dogs need pet. So that's 2
true.
pets.
That's true.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that, Momo.
All right. I could get pet by Kushi here, but we actually got pet by Kushi earlier, so I feel like we should vary it up a little bit.
I think that's a very good idea.
But there's a couple people that I can get pet by in Kamiki Village over here, which is where we're going anyway. So that works out quite nicely.
Perfect.
This is the dojo as well, but it doesn't sell you double jump, so we don't ever use it in any run. It just sells you other techniques that do anything else. This is the text block I'm supposed to hit the second option on, and I forgot, so I'm just flipping all my options here, being as slow as possible, just so people can get some more pets in.
Exactly.
Obviously. That's what it's all about. Alright, so first, I'm actually going to run over here and get pet by Mrs. Orange here. It's a little old lady. Helping us out. And then we can also get pet by Mushi here. Maybe? Oh, he got scared. There we go. Look at that.
Oh.
It's so cute. Alright, and now I have to make it nighttime so that everyone goes to sleep, because Hayabusa is Mushi's pet. And Mushi doesn't know that Hayabusa can talk and all that, so we can only fight him at night when Mushi goes to bed. So Hayabusa is our last dog fight, the second easiest of them. He, like Ume, will mostly just hang around, but he does like to dig, which is a bit rough because it's a much harder hitbox to dodge. But there's actually a mechanic in this game called Godhood, which lets you take some free attacks if you don't take damage for long enough. And so I'm able just to take the hit there, and it's totally fine. And now we can head out of here.
Yeah, now we're just running to Gale Shrine. And the whole reason we do all of the dog quests, go to Kusa Village, feed all the dogs, fight Take, fight Hayabusa and Ume, is so we can enter Gale Shrine. Because the Gale Storm brush power that we get in Gale Shrine is a very hard requirement. There is no, with our current knowledge, there is simply no possible way to skip it. So it's just something we have to do. We technically have a way to skip all of the dogs and getting to Gale Shrine early, but it requires, I believe, 6 frame perfect jumps after getting a 50-50. So it's not very safe?
No.
It has been performed in a world record run by Rifty RTA. So shout out to Rifty. But it's something that I don't think anyone should subject themselves to. But if you want to do it, that's you. Good for you. I respect you. You're great.
It does save like 10 minutes because you get to skip all of this running around that we've been doing to go fight these dogs. So it saves a lot of time, but it's also very, very silly to actually do. And so now we're heading back up to Kusa Village, and we're going to run all the way through to the back to enter Gale Shrine. So now's also, if there's anything you want to plug, Ophelia, now's a great time.
I would just love to talk to y'all a bit about Linear, because we are here for Lifeline for Linear, the mutual aid marathon, but maybe y'all want to know a little bit about LinearC in general. She's been involved in gaming her entire life since she was a kid and received her first gaming console, which was a gift meant for Christmas, but she found it earlier. And then she discovered Games Done Quick in 2015, which led her to Frame Fatales and Lady Arcaders communities, and volunteers for various roles in the hosting and community moderation. And she's a lead for Lady Arcaders and a runner. She loves helping out and uplifting others in her community and helping raise money for charities. If you want to know a little bit more about how to help her directly, type LFL in chat.
All right. So here we have to talk to Fusei real quick, so she'll give us these orbs. These are the orbs of all the warriors. We took their orbs, and now we can use these orbs to enter Gale Shrine for the door that requires 8 orbs. It's a it's an 8 MacGuffin quest. It's kind of impressive, really. 8 MacGuffins in one quest.
It's very Zelda of them to make you get all the MacGuffins so you can enter the thing.
Yep. The trick to skip doing the dog quest and all that actually relies on the fact that the door that is that we're going to be unlocking, if you don't have these, actually deals damage to you. And by dying on the door in a very specific way, you can warp to the middle of the actual shrine. It's called Origin Warp. It's a very silly trick.
Yeah. It's just a thing where if you never touch the ground for more than 1 frame, then your respawn coordinates don't get set to where you're standing. So if you die or void out, you will respawn at the 000 coordinate, which happens to be in a very convenient place in this dungeon. One thing that I wanted to bring up is, I don't know if you've noticed, but under the health bar and ink things, whenever Lego does any brush power, you'll see like a stamp. And if Lego can just do any brush power, it just powers slash a torch, so we can see it again. This is just a fun fact, right? You can see that stamp, like red thing. That's actually Ami's signature, because she's signing her paintings. Whenever you do a brush power, Ami will actually physically sign her painting in the game, and I think that's really cute.
That is amazing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just
high quality world record movement right here. This is the second one of these lockjaws, they're called here. You just have to get the key and then you open the thing, and it's a little demon keyhole because it's Japanese mythology and everything's a little gross and weird. That's part of what makes this game so awesome. And we have another one of these guys to beat up for another lockjaw key. So if there's anything else you'd like to plug, now's a great time.
I am just going to make sure that y'all know about what's going on. First off, we are doing a mutual aid raising money for our fellow speedrunner LinearC. But specifically, we are raising money to pet a pupper currently. And I would really like to see some pupper pets in the donations. Also, saying pupper pets repeatedly is very hard. But please get those donations in. If you are putting your money towards the Pet the Pupper incentive, it also goes towards our milestone incentive for the Hi-Fi Rush bonus BPM rush run at the end of Hi-Fi Rush.
Okay, something that happened in there, which isn't a super important trick. It doesn't save a lot of time. It doesn't do a lot. But coming out of the fight, Lego actually drew a bomb in advance to make the elevator go from the bottom floor to the second floor, to climb a little bit faster. I bring this up for the sole fact that that trick is called the old Razzle and Dazzle. That is the most important thing you should remember about that. Now, we're at the top of Gel Shrine. We're doing the reverse direction of the wind so that we can erase the evil influence of Crimson Helm and make the holy winds flow through Kusa Village again. And that frees up Kasagami, which gives us the power of Galestorm, which we are forced to use exactly once.
Yep.
It can technically be replaced in any other place where we would need to use it, but for exactly one use, we are forced to use Galestorm exactly, and there is nothing else we can do about it unless we find one of the holy grails, which is skipping the entire back end of the second arc of Okami.
Which, to be clear, very unlikely.
Very, very unlikely.
Anyway, we're just going to leave this dungeon as well. Crimson Helm, the boss of this dungeon, is hanging out here, but unlike other times when we're kind of just leaving everyone in distress and horrible things, we did get rid of the evil winds. Kusa Village is basically okay, and I mean, I don't know. Crimson Helm isn't really hurting anyone back here. He's just kind of hanging out.
I'm sure Susano will be able to handle it by himself.
Yeah, sure. Susano classically able to do things on his own. So, it's all good. Look how bright and happy this place is. It looks basically the same as when we ran up here the first time, but if you look off in the sky, there are now divine winds that have returned.
And the sky is blue. It used to be gray.
That's true.
And yeah, the wind is white instead of black now, which means it's good now.
That's how it works.
Yes. If you use a dark color palette, it's bad. If you use a clear and light one, it's good. That's how light works.
Real quickly here, I'm just going to be grabbing some large exorcism slips. This is going to be the first time I do that, and it will not be the last, because this is basically going to be our main fight tactic for the rest of the game, is using an item that just deals a lot of damage. We get lots of money when we beat fights, and we'll use all that money to buy more slips, and then we use those slips to beat fights, and then we use that money to buy more slips. So that's going to be the cycle for the rest of the game, basically.
There is 2 fights that we don't beat with slips because it's either not efficient or doesn't work very well. But otherwise, every single encounter from here on out, we're just gonna be nuking with exorcism slips.
Yep. And to be clear, those other fights we will just be relying on Steel Fist Sake boosted cherry bombs, because it's still a very strong strategy, even against some bosses. So, yeah. Right here, I'm going to draw the sun to summon Orca. Orca is our best friend, and also friend of the Dragonians, who can help us get into their palace. Right now, we're supposed to head off to that tower on the right to get the power of Catwalk. But why did I say no? But we're not going to do that. We're going to skip getting Catwalk with some very cool and consistent tricks. And to be clear, I'm being sarcastic. So we're just going to bring Orca over here. We need Orca to actually go into the Dragon Palace in a bit, so we'll just meet up with him here later after we open up the way to the palace.
Yeah, now this is gonna be the second D boost. This is a demon boost, and it works by utilizing the interruption of the combat attack animation. So if you attack in midair, that animation will get interrupted by you exiting the fight, since Ami's animation set is different when when in or outside a fight. So we attack in midair, that animation gets interrupted by the fight state getting taken away, and then there's a 1 frame window where we can do a grounded tackle in midair.
And importantly, unlike other times when we do deboosts, this one is very, very difficult to just time. It happens well over a second after we jump out of this fight, and there isn't a great visual cue. So I am just mashing and praying that I get it, which sometimes is great because it just works, and sometimes it just doesn't work. So in that case, I was a little unlucky. It took me like 5 tries to get it, but we carry on. And now, by drawing that star in the sky, the Watcher there has made a wish for this galaxy to return, the Whirlpool Galaxy. So by drawing wind here, we're able to spin the galaxy up in the sky, which is a classically known technique to use wind to turn a galaxy in the sky.
Yeah, and then the galaxy spinning makes a whirlpool show up. So let's just recap that. We drew a star, which made a galaxy show up in the sky, and then we blew wind in Japan, and that made the galaxy spin in space, which made a whirlpool happen in the sea of Japan on Earth.
Total sense to me.
This game is so true to real life physics.
Just like it. Anyway, we have now entered the Dragonian's palace here. It's very pretty. You know, you got some nice bubble effects because we are just underwater. I'm not sure exactly how we're breathing, but we are, and that's what matters. If we do have some pets, now is a great time, as many of these Dragonians will pet us. How many pets?
We have 1 pet from Anonymous, so I am very happy to say that. I also have a $1 donation from Anonymous, and that went to our Drop versus Catch Corsica run during Hi-Fi Rush. Currently, Catch is still in the lead. The Drop could potentially catch up. I keep saying that, and I feel bad about the pun that I'm saying.
All right, well, we'll get pet by... Oh, that's all right. For hand health, I was using turbo for mashing, which results in a bunch of dots if you're doing that. Oh, I'm almost bonking my way back into the elevator. We don't want to do that.
Record level movement right here.
All right, and from here, we have gained access. We talked to Otohime, the leader of the Dragonians, who her husband, the king, turned into the water dragon and is now just still the water dragon and is not stopping being a water dragon and is causing a lot of havoc. So in order to solve this issue, we need to go inside of the water dragon, which I think when we all imagine the inside of a water dragon, this is what we think about. You know, some nice rivers, some nice crystals and weird lamp things.
Honestly, I'll take this over the inside of Lord Jabu Jabu in Arena Time.
Mm-hmm.
This is a nice inside of a water deity.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Very observant people will have noticed that inside the water dragon is also just a reskin of Han Valley.
It is.
It is exactly the same area, except mirrored and reskinned.
Yep. And the Dragon Palace itself is also a reskin of Sasa Sanctuary. Though who knows, maybe Sasa Sanctuary is a reskin of the Dragon Palace. We may never know. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? But yeah, it is still a cool place though. Got some good vibes. There's the orb, dragon orb. It's hanging out. It's stuck. It's keeping the king as staying the water dragon. So we need to get it out. And classically, if you need to get an orb out of a water dragon, you need to use its stomach acid. So real quickly, we're gonna give the dragon a full-on ulcer, and then
like
use
really bad ulcer.
Yes, very bad, extremely awful ulcer. I would not recommend doing this yourself. Yeah, pretty rough. Not looking great for the water dragon here.
Hurdy.
Now, a long time ago, we skipped the power of Lily Pad, which lets us stand in water, which matters here because now we're taking damage from being in this acid. But luckily, I might die here. No, we're okay. We're okay. Almost did, but it's all right. That trick was called boneless because I did not get a holy bone for safety to ensure that I would not die there. But it works out. We're all good. I'm power slashing these two boxes as well. And that's just because they die faster that way. They die significantly faster.
Okay, good. I was worried you would power slash the last wave, because you've done that a couple times.
I have done that a couple times when I forget what I'm doing. Power slashing them is a lot of fun. But if you power slash them there, if you power slash the last wave, the fight will basically end instantly. And money you collect after the result screen pops up does not get doubled by the result screen. Wow.
That was wonderful.
It's world record level movement.
Of course. I was really hoping you would get sniped.
Yeah, I know.
It would have been funny.
You always wish for my downfall.
But yeah, essentially, there's the we gave the water dragon a stomach ulcer so bad that he is dying.
Yeah.
And as he dies, this blood/acid is raining down randomly. And obviously, we're trying to exit as fast as possible, and that requires us to jump over the water. You can just get sniped by the acid rain, and it will make you sad.
It really
just
will.
loses so much time, especially when you're on pace. You're doing great. You're feeling great about your run. You're executing your tricks, and then a drop of acid will fall on your head and rub you down and lose you 30 seconds, and that's just the game. Unfortunately for me, fortunately for Lego, that did not happen today. I would have loved to show off the absolute horrible pain of getting sniped by Water Dragon, but you know, we're doing all right.
So now we have we exited the dragon, let Otohime know, hey, we solved your water dragon issue. There's no more water dragon. And she's like, oh, cool, by the way, Queen Himiko is in danger. You need to go save her. And so now we're heading off to her. We've never met Queen Himiko, but I guess we're a good deity, and we help people that we don't know. Similar to how you can be helping Linear, even if you don't know her directly. In any case, this is quite a long run we're going to be doing here. So if you have anything to plug here, I'm just going to be doing a long run to get all the way to the back of Seance City.
I am always going to be plugging the Pet Pupper because we need to get more we need to get more pets in for the bestest girl in this run. But I also want to talk about a little bit about why we're here, because LinearC is a single mother, and according to the US Census Bureau, out of about 10 million single parent families with children under the age of 18, more than 70% were headed by single mothers. A third reported experiencing financial hardship. Single mothers earn income that place them well below married couples in the income ladder. The median income for families led by a single mother in 2022 was significantly lower than the median income for married couples. We're here speedrunning and raising money to help Linear.
All right, so back here, we're going to see the ghost of Rao. Rao is someone that we should have met, but we haven't. And as it turns out, the Rao that we didn't meet is also not the real Rao either, and is a fake evil Rao. So, yeah, that's a whole lot of plot we skipped. But luckily, the real ghost of Rao let us know about the secret way into Seon City, since the main way in is blocked off.
Also,
technically, we can
there's
skip our
no
way in,
more.
but
There was like no more green miasma on that camera pan, so surely they figured it out.
surely they've got this whole disease thing all worked out.
Yeah, coming up is a trick that used to be way bigger and harder than it is now, but it's still very important because it still allows us to skip an entire half of, like the entire first half of this arc, which is fire tablet skip. So maybe as a child, you would have come in here and thought, hey, surely I can just jump across all of this lava, no? Like, it just looks like you can just jump over it if you try hard enough. And you actually can. It's just insanely precise. And Lego, of course, just pulls it off second try. Yeah, that is Fire Tablet Skip, which allows us to skip all of the Imperial Palace dungeon and some extra side quests, or, well, just quests that follow it. And we can go straight in here, pop a Stealthy Sake, and blow up Evil Rao. Again, humanoid, meaning vulnerable to explosives.
Exactly. Classically, humans are vulnerable to being blown up. So
I'm vulnerable to being blown up.
exactly, it's a constant fear of mine. So
Understand.
sadly, Queen Himiko is dead, but she is sort of alive in a crystal ball still. And she let us know that Oni Island, which is where all of the demons come from, is right off of the North Hiroshima coast. And so we're going to make our way there. It's going to disappear by nightfall. But luckily, nightfall actually cannot come during this time. But it'll definitely disappear if we ever got to it. So
Yeah,
now that we ran all the way to the back of Seon City, we're now going to run all the way back out to North Hiroshima coast, where we just were, in order to go to Oni Island.
Yeah, just funnily enough, if obviously when you're playing this game casually, you are feeling the urgency of the moment and you're just going, right? You're beelining to Oni Island. You don't care about anything. You're feeling that banger music. You don't care about anything else other than getting there, avenging Queen Himiko. But if you just wait, nothing happens. Isun will just tell you off for not hurrying, and then time will rewind so that you can make it in time. And yeah, that's just a cute thing that never happens casually, but is nice for us in case we get really bad luck, because we do need to get up the Watcherscape, which is the place where we were up in, where we did the whole blow wind so the galaxy spins thing. We do need to get back up there, and that means we need to do the demon boost to get up there again, and that might just take long enough that it gets to night, and nicely the game just gives us extra time if that happens.
Yep. So here we're running back to North Hiroshima. Also very nicely, at this point in the game, the gate will now just open for us. We don't have to do the difficult trick over the mountains to get over the gate. We're able just to get right in. And yeah, we're going to go back to that scroll that we used previously to jump out of to get onto Watcher's Cape. Hopefully I can get it in sooner than 5 tries this time, but sometimes it's just luck. It's just luck of the draw, so we'll see what happens. Let's see here. Oh, not on the first one. You never know though. Maybe second try is the charm. Probably not, but you never know. But third try is the charm classically, so surely it will happen this time. Third try is the charm. It is as they say.
Beautiful.
I was hoping for a fourth try so I could do that forced try joke.
Wow.
Also, we see that now for the second time. Lego just sort of jumps to the side there. That is one of our classic patented just jump around it fight skips.
Yep. I did it earlier too, but it's not a very noticeable or important skip. So, yeah. I honestly forgot that I was doing a fight skip. It just feels like movement that you get used to. It doesn't feel like a skip you're preparing for. All right, and now we have entered Oni Island. Luckily for us, Otohime has now also become the water dragon, so she was able to get us into Oni Island. Very nice of her. And now I am immediately just going to get out of bounds. This out of bounds is very nice for us because about halfway through the dungeon, we are the game puts you outside so that you can get a brush power. So you go outside, you can see a constellation and do all that. And luckily for us, that outside is on the same map as where we start. So by getting out of bounds and jumping around the entire mountain, we can actually get to that other spot and skip half of the dungeon.
Yeah, this is just... It's classically known as KTless Oni Island skip for the old heads in the community. Just Oni Island skip works to describe exactly what it does, because you just skip half of Oni Island. We're gonna be skipping more of it, so keep your eyes peeled. There's a couple of really cool tricks coming up here. And yeah, this is, we just get here, we get Thunderstorm. Interestingly, while the Thunderstorm constellation is happening, Ami is still out there slipping down the mountain. So if you just stay looking at the constellation, Ami will drown, and you do soft lock if that happens. Now, this is awesome skip.
It's because
by doing that, yeah, it's because it's awesome. By doing that weird tackle into the wall, you can get a sort of half out of bounds state, which gives you a skew. Well, by getting rid of the skew, we get a little height boost, which is just enough to get out of bounds and get into the 2D section early. Now, there's something fun. Well, I'm just gonna let Lego do it.
Okay, I got it.
Oh, beautiful.
So that right there is a trick that involves slope storage, which is a very weird glitch. But basically, by running up a hill and then jumping, when you land again, you will get a boost in height. So in that case, I ran up the slope and then did a tackle jump to the other side, so that when I landed over there, I got a little height boost, which gave me just enough time to, just enough height to get all the way up to the top and skip running around. And because this area is cycle-based, that actually saves quite a bit of time. It saves like 10 seconds or something.
You know, just one of those things that is harder than it looks.
It is. I mess it up all the time. And right there, that was the cheese wheels. We call them because they look like cheese wheels. Just jumping through them. And now we have our next skip, because we're still not done. So throughout this dungeon, you're supposed to race Toby. Toby's a little slip of paper. And when you race him, to get through the dungeon, you just have to do multiple races to him to like different finish lines. And this is Toby's skip, because we've skipped all those other races through various other skips. But maybe on the second try when it works, if I clip past that gate, we never have to race Toby, which also means he doesn't die. Because normally he would die if we race him, if we do his last race. But by doing this, we're able to save Toby.
Now, there is a debate about whether we should be happy about saving Toby. Because, of course, we save Toby. He doesn't die, but in doing so, we do deprive him of his one joy in life, which is racing. And as a speedrunner, I sometimes wonder if we are doing good by Toby by, in our eyes, doing a good act of saving him, but really depriving him of this one joy.
Yeah.
Now,
It's a moral debate that will probably never be answered. Anyway, this is Ninetales. She's Evil Row and is also a giant fox with 9 tails. Immediately, by blowing her up and then hitting her with thunder, she will spew out some spirits that I will destroy. And now when she comes back after this, she will only have 5 tails. So basically we're just going through and getting rid of her tails this way. Oh. If I mess this up.
no.
Okay.
Okay.
Scene plays if that gets all the way up, which would have been very silly.
Yeah. Oh, fine.
Mm-hmm. It's all as intended, all planned. And now by destroying all of the 8 other tails, we find the final phase of Ninetales, which, like we mentioned, it is now time to just really do a lot of damage with some nice extras and slips. And by doing this, we now also get a bunch of money that we'll be able to use to buy more extras and slips. And the cycle continues. I do want to mention also that in this game, there are like other methods of fighting. We've mostly been using brush powers with Cherry Bomb or Power Slash sometimes, and now Exorcism Slips. Normal gameplay, you mostly just like attack enemies with this weapon on your back, and you upgrade it to get better weapons and cooler weapons. But we just don't because it's slow. Brush powers and slips are just so much faster for defeating enemies. If you want to see weapon combat, you have to go look at 100% runs, where we want to save money a lot, and in order to buy everything in the game.
How long are 100% runs on average?
There isn't actually a true 100% category, but there is Top Dog, which is all achievements, which is like basically 100%. And that is, right now the record is 7 hours and 14 minutes.
That's a long run.
It is a long run.
Yeah, we are now going into the final demon boost of the run. Just one final one. This is to skip the final, well, another use of catwalk, which we will need to get on top of the Shinsu plateau. So we need to use this demon scroll to get up there and, just make one more stride in fully skipping catwalk and catcall tower. So yeah, we just get up there with the demon boost and go in there.
Yep, that is the last demon boost we will be doing this run. It is not the last catwalk skip we're doing this run. And the actual hardest catwalk skip will be coming up in like 10 or so minutes. But yeah. We are also now entering the 3rd arc of the game, Kamui, and Kamui is the northern land, snowy, with the people being the Owina tribe, who, sadly for us, cannot pet us. And that is because they all have wolf forms, and if we do what for most people in the game makes them pet us, it will instead just turn them into their wolf form. So there's not a lot of people that can pet us. However, if need be, we could even go back in the game and find some other ways to get pet.
Did you hear that, chat? You still can get your pet dog donations in. We can pet the pupper.
We will figure something out so that you can get the pets you deserve.
And we appreciate you doing that for us.
The pets that Ami deserves. Ami deserves these.
Yeah, so this is our second to last brush adventure. This is Oki skip, and yeah, this is the first skip in the final act of the game. There will be a lot of them I really hope you don't have a lot of places where you have emotional attachment to in Kamui, because we will be seeing none of them and meeting none of the characters. We will be skipping absolutely everything we can in Kamui.
Yeah.
Even this fight here, this is one of the more something fight skips. We don't just go around it. We actually have to go out of bounds using this blossom that almost went terribly.
It almost did. If you're in the wrong position, instead of this vine taking you out of bounds, it will dunk you into the fight, as we call it. So luckily that didn't happen. I got dunked, but not quite into the fight, so I was able to avoid it. And now we get pulled all the way out of bounds and out of the fight. And real quickly, I'm going to stop by this merchant here for another shopping trip. This shopping trip, we are not only going to get slips, but we're also going to get some infinity stones. These stones basically, normally, right now on the top left, you can see there's 5 ink pots. And if we run out, that's bad because we can't move and all that. And we're going to be using a lot of ink up here. An ability we've used a couple times in this run, Fireburst, uses 3 ink pots when we use it. And we will need to use it repeatedly and often. So we're going to need these infinity stones to be able to get through quickly.
Yeah, relevantly, we skip Mooncave, which means we don't get the Inferno brush power. And we are in the ice area and going into the ice dungeon without the base firepower. We did get Fire Burst, but as Lego mentioned, it is a very costly brush power, and it has limited uses in terms of its actual fire, but we will use some of its weirder, probably unintended side effects for our benefit.
It ends up Fireburst. So there are quite a few secret brush powers in the game, and all of them suck. It's quite sad, really. They're really cool brush powers, like they're awesome visually. However, in terms of like damage, in terms of utility, they're all bad except for Fireburst, which surprisingly ends up having like 6 different uses or something during this run, both in allowing us to skip getting Inferno and Mooncave. We can replace fire. We used it for a couple skips with like in Suit of Ruins, we used it to do a pot skip. We used it to beat a fight faster in there. So most cases, these secondary brush powers aren't useful, but Fireburst is the exception. Fireburst ends up being actually great.
Yeah, Fireburst just ends up being a Swiss Army knife brush power that we end up using for anything we don't have the right tool or intended tool for.
Yep.
And worth mentioning is Lego just did a web tier gate skip, just goes out of bounds, jumps around the gate. Not actually a huge time save, it mostly just looks cool. And it's nice. Now this one is one that probably doesn't look as cool and is quite easy to perform actually, but it's one of the largest time saves in the game. Probably the best time save divided by difficulty ratio of any trick. You just use that vine to gain height, get out of bounds, and now we can enter Waku Shrine, the final dungeon of the game, early. And this skips the entire Yoshpet 100 years in the past, going to Pongten, all of that just out of the run from one simple skip.
Yep, it is definitely the biggest skip in the game. In terms of like how much time we save in this run versus like a glitchless run, the glitchless record is 3 hours and 40 something minutes, and this run is optimally under an hour and 50 minutes. So it is quite fast. We do a lot of big skips in this run that skip huge portions of the game, which is pretty awesome, since it makes this run faster and also makes other runs, like, you know, getting all the brushes in the game, stuff like that, more interesting because we get to explore places we don't normally.
Yeah, this is the final brush adventure of the game. By taking the camera out of bounds and melting that ice, it actually teleports Ami inside, allowing us to skip getting the key to that lockjaw. And now is the final catwalk skip and our final set of D-boosts. These are defrost boosts, and there's 2 of them. So 2 frame perfect inputs that Lego just did like they're free because she's just
Beautiful.
built like that.
To be clear, getting that first try is extremely unlikely. I actually forgot to practice it earlier, so I haven't done that trick in at least a couple weeks, if not much longer. So getting it first try is quite nice. Making up for my difficulties with Sasa earlier, from earlier. But yeah, that skips that. And then right there, kind of just brushed over it, literally, because I used a brush power. But I used Fire Burst again, because those gears that I jumped on, they normally hurt you when you stand on them. And in order to get past them, you're supposed to slow down time using the power Veil of Mist. Conveniently, Fire Burst also slows down time. It is something that it actually shares with other super duper brush powers, but it slows down time for some reason, which is important not only right there, but will really be important later in this dungeon as well. And here I just already know the code that I need to enter to get this brush power here. We're able to find what is supposed to be the final brush power of the game. In reality, we've skipped like 5 or 6 of the brush powers that we're supposed to normally get. But the game thinks it's our last brush power, which is awesome for us because it actually gives us a cool new weapon on our back, Solar Flare, which is kind of like the upgraded version of Divine Retribution. It will have actual use 1 time in this run, which is pretty much the most that you can say of any weapon in this run, so that's something. I'm going to do another skip real quick. This is a Neshu skip, so this skips like half the dungeon. We're going to go out of bounds again, kind of like an Oni Island. And since there's another part that juts outside later, we can just skip to that part. And now I'm going to focus up here because this is a pretty difficult room to actually do correctly. I do not want to mess it up. But if you'd like to explain what's going on here, Krino, that would be awesome.
Yeah, so that was Cannon Room. I was just like clenching. Apologies. Cannon Room is very, very scary and very hard. Once again, way harder than it looks. And I'm sure that one actually looked really hard because of all the barrage of cannonballs rushing at our faces. But yeah, essentially we abuse Fire Burst's power to slow down time. One thing that makes that harder than it seems is that Fire Burst, using the slowdown of Fire Burst, actually locks you out of using Brush for a couple of seconds. So you can't use it reactively. You need to use it predictively and know the exact timing that you need to use Fire Burst. So the cannonball you need to reflect to the Golden Cannon will be in the air during the window where A, time is slowed, and B, you can actually use your brush. Also, say hi to Oki. He's our elevator dog. This is the only time we see Oki, the protagonist of the 3rd act of Okami, in the entire run.
Yo. He's very convenient for us. Technically, he's part of this fight too, but this boss fight, you can just use extra slips. And like, I know I use extra slips on other fights, but at least you have to do like something there. There is no other requirement in this fight. You just use extra slips. It's actually quite sad. It's a pretty cool fight, but it's just how it is, I suppose. They should have figured out how to build an immunity to extra slips. And now we're going to enter the real final dungeon of the game, but it's not like a normal dungeon. This final area is a boss rush. And it is also the point of no return for this game. I'm going to try to do a cool skip here. There we go, nice.
Oh, nice. That's Tango skip. If you fail that, you fall down to the water. It's actually not that hard, but you know.
It saves like 1 second and can potentially lose you a minute. Anyway, say hi to Marco. This is the last guy in the game that can pet us. So if there's any pets,
I do not have any more pets for our beautiful pupper. But
All right,
chat
well.
was amazing, and we did get some pets in, and I'm so happy that we were able to get Ami some pets because she deserves them.
She does. She does.
Okay, so Lego, I want you to hear me out real quick.
Yep.
I think everyone we didn't help is actually okay.
Yeah.
Because canonically, this boss rush, like every boss we fight here, is like the accumulation of all the evil in the land that was defeated and gathered here. So for them to be here, someone must have beaten them.
That's
like not
true.
us, but like someone should have, like, you know, Blight's here. Someone killed Blight. So people in Cyan are fine, I think.
That's, you can tell yourself what you want to make yourself feel better, Krino. Anyway, that was the one fight where our weapon actually gets to be used, and it's like a good option that does damage quickly. It is the only time in the game we will ever actually use our weapon for like a real purpose. Sometimes in the early game we did like one hit on enemies for like a little bit of extra chip, but there it is actually like our main offensive tool. So congrats to Solar Flare for being able to be used one time. We will now be going back to our regularly scheduled exorcism slips. That was Blight, by the way. He's the boss you're supposed to fight in Cyan. He's responsible for the plague. He's also kind of easy to beat up. He's just a little guy, like canonically. He's inside of someone's body, producing the entire plague, and so he's a very little guy. This is
Orochi, probably the hardest boss fight in the game. We started out with what we call the 3-head glitch, which allows us to abuse a weird quirk in the Earth Head in order to have 3 heads be active at once, so that we can water spout them and make them all drunk at the same time. The way the first phase of Orochi works is you have to hit 3 of his heads with the 8 purification sake twice. So it's very convenient that we can just get 3 of them at the same time, just like that. That water spout also passes through the bell intentionally to deal damage to it at the same time it becomes vulnerable from the 3 heads being drunk, and then it goes down to just 1 exorcism sleep. Now here, Lego is just trying to make heads roar as fast as possible. She will try to have 4 heads drunk at the same time, so she can take them out with 2 exorcism slips, and just do that twice in a row. Now, that's the first set. One interesting thing here is that casually, you probably wouldn't take damage from the falling fire, because Fire Tablet actually makes you immune to it. And that makes this fight way harder than it seems, because you have to be very disciplined about the fire. If the fire hits you, the only way to get rid of it is by attacking. Otherwise, it will just tick down to you. And if you happen to hit one of the heads with that attack, the head will go into like an enraged thrashing attack, which will just ruin your ability to get the proper cycles. So just really nice discipline, really clean fight from Lego there.
The fire overall was pretty nice to me there. It can be so much worse. I only got hit, I think, twice there. And on an average one, I'd say I get hit like 4 times just trying to run around. And it can be very tough because if you get unlucky and you get hit like constantly, you also have to worry about your health more, which in this case, I didn't even take a full, like, we call them a cookie of health. Health doesn't really matter much in this run. If you played casually, you probably have never even seen what the death animation looks like. But in this run, because we don't really get much praise and we don't have like normal lots of health like you would in a normal run, dying is actually a real possibility in speedruns. Still not common, but it is possible. And I would know this from experience.
Yeah, and if there is a place to die in this run, it is the Orochi fight.
Yep. It is a classic place because, especially if you mess up and you hit a head, the whole fight gets extended, which means you can get hit by fire more or just by the heads thrashing. So, and you're not often as prepared for a messed up Orochi fight as you are for one that goes like you normally want it to. All right, so here we're taking out another portal. That was Spider Queen, by the way. It's the boss of Suda Ruins. They did buff it for the Arc of Yamato. Now in Suda Ruins, it takes 2 vines to open up its blood to kill it. But in Arc of Yamato, it takes 3 whole vines. So, excellent, scaling in terms of difficulty. Not a hard boss fight. And speaking of not a hard boss fight, we are now going to go fight Crimson Helm, who will basically just be a bunch of exorcism slips. So, yeah.
Yeah, one interesting thing about this boss rush being here is that this boss rush essentially dictates most of the dependencies in the speedrun. Because a lot of the things we do and get, and this is more true for something like New Game Plus, which can just really just skip everything and do whatever it wants. But really, a lot of the things we do and get throughout the speedrun are because we need them in this boss rush.
Yep. We get Vine because we need it to be Spider Queen. We get Thunderstorm because we need it to beat Ninetales. And we get Water Spout partially because we need it to beat Orochi.
Mm-hmm. Technically, Galestorm isn't needed to beat Crimson Helm. We can use what's it called? Whirlpool? Not Whirlpool.
Whirlwind?
Whatever it's called. Yeah. Tornado. The secret upgrade to Galestorm. We can use that instead of Galestorm. And we can get that without getting Galestorm the same way we got Fireburst without getting Inferno. But we still need Galestorm for other things, like spinning the galaxy, so there's no reason to get a substitute instead of just flat-out Galestorm.
Mm-hmm. And now we're going to fight Ninetales again, like we did in Oni Island. And this fight is actually ever so slightly nerfed on the final phase. That's the only difference. So this is just going to be the same fight that we saw before. So if you have anything to plug or maybe any pets that I need to be aware of, now would be a great time to know.
Sadly, no, I don't have any more pets.
It's a little sad to hear that people aren't willing to have Ami be pet, but that's all right.
It does happen, sadly.
It does. It does.
It was a fantastic
Sadly.
time. We were able to get some wonderful pets in.
We were.
And we raised some wonderful money for LinearC. I'm so happy to be involved in this marathon.
Yeah, here instead of taking 4 exorcism slips, the final phase of Ninetales only takes 2. And otherwise, it's just the exact same fight.
Yep. And now we got a whole bunch of money, and I know this is going to sound crazy, but we're actually going to use it to buy more exorcism slips. It's true. And then from there, we're going to go and fight the final boss of the game. Yeah. If you have anything else you want to plug, Ophelia, now is a great time.
I just want to plug, again, one of the reasons we are here. So this is Lifeline for Linear, which is a mutual aid marathon raising money for our fellow speedrunner, LinearC, who recently became a single mother and has a little bit of unexpected debt in response. Now, we as her friends and community have come together to present y'all with 5 whole days of amazing speedruns in her support. So if you'd like to help Linear directly, you can do so by typing !donate in chat. And when you do that, please remember to put any of your donations towards incentives. I know right now we do have a bid war between drop or catch for our hi-fi rush. And outside of that, we also have a milestone incentive for the hi-fi rush as well. Working towards those, it'll be fantastic.
All right, so this is the final boss of Okami, Yami. And it is sad to say, like the final boss of Waukebu Shrine, where I just use exorcism slips, that also works against the very final boss of the game. So for the most part, I will be just spamming exorcism slips a lot. However, I do want to say that casually, this is actually a very cool fight. When you get into this fight, lose all of your brush powers. And in this fight, every time you see this is Ami getting back one of her lost powers. So just now we got back the power of Power Slash, which allows me to deal damage right there. And now we're getting back the power of Bloom, which I will not use to Bloom. I'm just going to Power Slash again because we're speedrunning. But it's a very cool fight and also has some banger music, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Also, interestingly, even if we never got all the brush powers, we do actually get them back here.
Yep.
We can, so when we get Catwalk, we can actually use it. Not that we will, because that will just be a waste of time, but, we could do that if we wanted.
Hypothetically.
Yeah. And there are some little ways to speed up the fight. Not in a major way. We really are just mostly doing exorcism sleep spam.
Yeah, like during this phase, I'm gonna go and get a couple hits onto the green, onto this green phase, and that'll let me skip using one exorcism slip. So, truly generational stuff. I actually messed up getting those hits in, and now I'm gonna have to use an extra exorcism slip, which is tragic, but that's just how it goes. I don't say also this boss has 5 different phases. It is quite long, but I also want to take this as a chance to maybe do a couple shout outs. From myself, I just want to shout out my co-commentator here, Krino. Very good at rambling about many of the different aspects of this game, and it's very nice to work with here. Also, just want to give some shout outs to our community. We've been a little bit more active lately. Like we mentioned, a new skip was just found 4 days ago. So there's some really cool stuff going on, and we even have a beginner guide for you to learn how to speedrun the game if this interests you. Because in my opinion, this is a really cool speedrun. Yeah, do you have any shout outs you want to give, Krino?
Yeah, just shout outs to all of the community, all of the people who are actively running right now. You all are great. Just check us out at the Discord. We have great resources here. Everyone's always trying to help. And we have the nice bot by Outright that tells you when someone's running the game. So that's always really nice. You can always just go to the Discord to find out when the active runners are running and, to find all of our streams and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. All right, so here we have found the 4th phase, which, all these phases represent many different things. The last one was like a gambling phase. This one is amazing and represents humanity's love of giant mechs. Very important.
And yeah, once we're past this phase, which we're just, again, exorcism slipping down, we're gonna go into some cutscenes, then enter the final phase. And time will be after the final phase. There will be some more cutscenes, and when the results screen shows up at the end showing the money earned from the final boss, then that is time. So yeah, here, after getting all brush powers back, Ami finds the power to make the sun rise within herself, because Yami could never take that away from her. And then we proceed to just blow up Yami with a total of exactly 12 exorcism slips.
9,
9,
10,
10,
11,
11,
12.
and 12.
There we go.
And that was Okami.
Time is coming up right about here.
Time.
Right.
There we go.
I have no idea how good this
Jeez.
run was. Let's find out. Oh, that was pretty all right.
Oh, that's a pretty good time, yeah.
57:57. In game, we actually use the in-game time displayed here for speedruns. But yeah, I think we said everything we wanted to say during that last fight. So unless there's anything else, I think we're signing off here. Thank you for watching.
Thank you so much for that run. That was absolutely fantastic. We will be back in just a moment with a little bit more speedruns for y'all. Well, everyone. That was an amazing run of Okami. I was so happy to be involved in that. And I've been so happy to be involved on this first morning. However, my time with you has just ended, but I'm going to be leaving you in the more than capable hand of one of my dear friends, Satan herself. Satan is a fantastic person, and she is going to be taking care of you as host for the next chunk of runs. Now, I will see y'all tomorrow, but Satan, let's hear your wonderful voice.
Oh my goodness, Sophie, thank you so much for that introduction. Hello, everybody. My name is Satan herself, and yes, I am going to be your host for this very next run of Grand Theft Auto Vice City by English Ben. I cannot wait. It's going to be an absolute blast. I already see a lot of love and chat coming in. I can't wait. We are going towards that run, and while we go towards that run, we have a new target incentive just opened right now, hot off the presses, which is upgrade to 100% for our BPM bullets per minute run later. And I have a lot to say about BPM, and not just because I'm going to be on comms for that run, but because it's a rhythm game where you shoot monsters to the beat. It's extremely cool, and 100% really gets to show off all of the skill that James Swan has got in that game. It's a roguelike too, so it's going to be a run that he's never seen before. He's going to jump in and do it all. That's at $150, so if you want to make that happen, and I highly recommend it, when you donate, go ahead and scroll down to the bottom, click Incentives, click Upgrade to 100% for BPM bullets per minute, and let's go ahead and get that going. It's $150 and we need it before the start of BPM. So we have a little time, but we don't have that much time. Y'all are speedrunners, you know how fast everything goes. So let's go ahead and get that met soon. Also, so exciting, I'm seeing here that we have just gotten $600 on the marathon. Thank you all so much for doing that. That is so exciting. Let's push for 700, maybe by the end of GTA? I think we can do that. I definitely think we can do that. I know we got some GTA fans in chat. They can get us there. They can totally get us there. I have no doubts at all. I also just want to remind everybody about why we're here and why we're raising money for one of our incredible community members. Lifeline for Linear is a mutual aid marathon raising money for fellow speedrunner LinearC, who recently became a single mother and has accrued a lot of unexpected debt. In response, her friends and community have come together to present 5 days of amazing speedruns in her support. If you want to help Linear directly, you can donate using !donate in chat. That is right. LinearC is a gem. Just everywhere in the speedrun community is so incredible and so kind to everyone. We really want to help her out in her time of need here. And mutual aid is amazing because all of this just goes directly to a person who, we know needs help. And that is just incredible to be working for as a host. I love doing these marathons, and I'm so excited to be here with you all. I also wanted to let you all know that right now, when you donate towards the marathon, you're actually getting a 2-for-1 deal. I know it's my favorite time as a host, it's 2-for-1 time. That's because we actually have a milestone incentive set up right now, and that is a bonus BPM rush at the end of Hi-Fi Rush, which is also a rhythm game. We got Rhythm Block coming up after this. You are not going to want to go for that. You're going to want to stick around. And that will be to get that bonus rush. That ends 10 minutes onto the marathon at $808 on the whole marathon. We need that total right there. You see that number that says 603? We need that to go up to 808 by the end of that run to get that bonus rush. And that means we're only about $200 away from that. We can absolutely do it. And if we get that, and those donations go towards that BPM upgrade to 100%, we'll get both. We will get a 2-for-1 deal. That's going to be awesome. So if you've been waiting to donate, now is absolutely the time. You get all sorts of stuff for your donation towards Lifeline for Linear. You can also select an option on our bid war for Hi-Fi Rush as well. We have that open too. So if you're looking to spice up a little bid war, that one's pretty close. You can go ahead and put your donation towards that too. All right.